So let's see if I went live everywhere. I'm going to check my other phone over here. I see that Instagram is live. And let me pull up the other places. How is everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. I'm Twanna Carter. And today I will be dishing 21 tips on how to leave a toxic workplace. So, if you are in a toxic workplace or you're wondering, or you just feel stuck, not sure how to get out of a toxic workplace, I got plenty of tips for you to use today. And I see that I am actually live on Facebook. Very good. That's where I'm supposed to be live at. So I'm live on Instagram, I'm live on Facebook, and I am live on LinkedIn. Yes, we are, what did they say? Cooking with grease, right? And let's check one more place. Think we are. Yes, everybody is on live. As you hop on, go ahead and drop a hashtag live and let me know if you can hear me. That is important. I think I checked, Microsoft sound check, 1, 2, 3, sound check. So I do have comments, right? So Greg says, yes. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? Are you still in Alabama? Last I heard of you, you were in Birmingham. Right. And thanks for hopping on tonight, letting me know that you can actually hear me. Right. So, without further ado, now I know some of you know me, but for those of you who don't, I am Tawana Carter and I am a career transition coach and I help high achieving professionals transition to a career even beyond that doubt and anxiety you can get when it's time to change. And I do that by empowering them to recognize and communicate their unique talents, right? And I do that by empower them to just believe, have absolute belief in their own strengths and abilities so that they can confidently and courageously create a path of success that is meaningful and purposeful to them. So, if you have, okay, so hey, Martine, am I pronouncing that correctly? Hi, happy hump day to you as well. Thank you, Greg. Greg says he can hear me well. I do appreciate that. For those of you that are catching this in my free Facebook group, Courage to Transition Your Career, do understand that you are able to drop comments here and it won't show your name. All right, you have to give StreamYard permission to do that. So I am going to definitely show those. Yes. So I do want to get started because 21 tips is a lot. I'll be honest with you. I started off with 10, and the more I worked on it, I ended up with 21. Okay. And so let me say this, don't worry about trying to jot down all of these tips. I have a free PDF for you. I can actually drop in I'll drop that in the links in the comments when I hit by 20 or 21. So don't feel like you got to rush to write everything down because I am from the South. And so I do talk a little fast. And when I get excited about my topic, I talk even faster. But I am not offended if you drop in the comments and say, hey, slow down. You're going a little too fast there. Thanks, Tony. Great, thanks. And I got a tonette too. Thanks for popping on. Thank you, thank you. If you feel comfortable, let me know where you're popping on from. I'm a traveling gal, I'm a traveling girl, and COVID has like kind of put a stop to a lot of that. So I love to hear where people are because I can virtually travel like in my mind, like I can be in Hawaii or California or Alabama or Florida and overseas as well. So without further ado, I'm going to start with these tips. First of all, some folks are not even sure if they're in a toxic environment. A toxic environment is one where you find it difficult to either work or to progress or really to even get out of your bed and go to the job, right? Because there's such a negative atmosphere. And sometimes that atmosphere comes from one person. Sometimes it could be a section, or a division. And other times it's the entire organization. The entire organization is just toxic, right? And some folks And I've known this, I've seen this. Some folks will stay in a toxic workplace year after year after year, sometimes decades, right? And there are other folks is like, Psh, I would have left there so fast. But here's the thing. When you're in a toxic workplace and it comes to leaving, sometimes your anxiety kicks in. And there's a couple of things you can do. You can fight, you can run, or you can freeze. A lot of folks will freeze in a toxic workplace. Do I go? Do I stay? The money is good. Do I take a chance? Do I take a risk? I don't know. And they just freeze. So Tony says he is in St. Pete. I used to teach school in Polk County. So I know St. Pete well. Absolutely. So, and I like to do a no judgment zone. Whatever the reason you feel like you're stuck, I'm giving you 21 tips to get out of that. So the first thing is know the signs and the symptoms of being in a toxic, stressful, anxiety ridden workplace. Migraines, headaches, stomach aches, digestive issues, sometimes not stomach aches, it's irritable bowel syndrome, it's fatigue, it's feeling this anxiety like something is riding you. It's always a sense of dread. When is that next shoe gonna drop? When is something else is going to happen, right? Some folks progress to panic attacks where it feels like you're having a heart attack, you can't breathe, feels like the whole world is coming down on you, and you know you don't see anything, but there it is, you feel that way. Other folks, it's insomnia. They can't go to sleep. They're up and they're wired, like, oh my God, I gotta go to work. Oh my God, I'm not getting enough sleep. Oh my God, what's gonna happen tomorrow? Right. And I did this one too. These are all signs and symptoms of the stress that your body is experiencing, this overwhelming stress. Okay, and I see a Nashville in the house. Ricardo says he's in Nashville. Great. Thanks for hopping on. Anyone have had one or more of those symptoms? Especially, this is a real big clue. When it's time for you to prepare to go to your job the night before you go to work, for most people, that's Sunday. For some people, it's not. Do you start to feel some of these things? You get this sense of dread. And I know I used to get a headache. I'd leave my job, I'd be fine. Going into the job, I would have this headache, and the headache stayed all day long until I left the job, right? So Tonette says Atlanta, ATL. All right. I'm an Alabama girl, so we gotta stick together. Georgia and Alabama, I gotta stick together. Even though y'all did beat Alabama in the playoffs, I'll forgive you for that because guess what? It's still SEC. We still get paid. So there you go. And yes, I'm an Auburn fan, just so everybody knows that. War Eagle, yes, Auburn fan here, but I will root for Alabama just like I rooted for Georgia to beat whoever it was they beat. As long as it's SEC, I'm happy. Okay. So number two, if you are in a toxic workplace and people are taking credit for your work, people are like nasty to you, some folks cussing you out, or even physically threatening you, or you feel that way, document, document, document. Let me say it a couple more times. Document, 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 document. What I mean by document, you want to document the abusive behavior. When you get to a safe place where you can write it down, be careful with their computers because I sat on the job and I was in the headquarters and I used to. Tony said, oh man, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. But I sat in a headquarters and we used to watch what people were doing. We used to catch people playing solitaire all the time. So you want to be careful about documenting on your work computer, but you do want to document. If you can get to a private safe space and you want to put down time and date, when someone says something stupid, idiotic, abusive, rude, condescending, prejudice, sexist, whatever that stuff is, you want to just kind of look around for a clock, kind of look down at your time, at your cell phone, and remember that time. Then we get to a safe space, today's date, that time, and what happened, and who was there, who was in the room with you. Okay. If you're on the phone with folks, because some people, they're smart, they're not going to say anything to you in front of people. They will say it to you, but in front of no one else. You can still document that. It's an email memorandum for record. At this time, at this date, I spoke to da 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 da. They said da 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 da, and I said da 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 da. You can do that. You don't need both of you documenting. You just need that documented, right? And I'm going to tell you why on another one in a few minutes when we get down to that. So anybody here, have questions about documenting? Sometimes, and I know that you're in a space where you cannot document at your job, but it's important to have times. That's what you need, times, day and time, right? And you can go back and do it. And I have actually, and I don't recommend people do this, but I've actually had a file on my work computer when I work for others, and it was password protected. And I put all my stuff there and password protected as well. I emailed that file home so I could always keep up with what was going on. I still have stuff on my computer right now that I've emailed myself because it's a documentation that counts, right? And so, number three is do practice self compassion and self care. It is very anxiety provoking to be in a toxic workplace. And that puts stress on your body, mental stress, physical stress, and stress will kill you. Over the long run, stress will kill you. So do take, have that compassion. I know starting out, I have social anxiety. So I was not a fighter when I started off in my jobs. And people would say and do stupid things. I just couldn't seem to speak up. And so I would feel guilty and I would feel stupid. And I was like, what is wrong with me? I should have said this. Why am I taking this? Practice that self compassion. Do what you know. When you know better, you do better. But right now, just practice that self compassion. Okay. If you're keeping up, we're on number four. This is number four is get a mentor and keep one throughout your career. And I love to do this when I say get a mentor, 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 get a mentor. I cannot explain to you how important that is. That mentor can guide you through. And when it is time for you to leave, they go like, oh yeah, that's toxic. You need to go. You have access to your network of people and you have access to your mentor's network of people. And depending on, your mentor normally has a mentor, you may also have access to your mentor's network. So your network goes from this to this when you have a mentor. It is so important to spend time finding a mentor. How many people out there have a mentor? That was the one thing out of the gate that I totally messed up in my first few jobs. I got a mentor about 5 years ago. He is still with me. Love him to death. Jay, I love you. Love you. He's my mentor coach. He's hung in there with me 4 or 5 years, and it's been wonderful. I've done more in my businesses than I had, in the 8 or so years before that, because now I have a mentor. I mean, I also have a business coach, but I have that mentor, right? I do have that mentor. So if you have a mentor, drop it in the comments and let me know. Okay. I'm going to pop over to LinkedIn and see if I'm missing any comments there. And I am not. So we shall carry on. Number five is very important. Create an exit strategy guide. Notice I didn't say plan. I could have, but I said guide. It needs to be a living document to guide you. And at the moment that you start thinking this is probably toxic, you may not have a direct plan in place to know exactly what you're going to do, but start an exit strategy. Start that guide so you can feel like there is some control you have. You work with the mentor, you working with people that you trust in your network. You have this guide that can guide you through, because sometimes people start to feel helpless and they feel hopeless because they don't see a way out of a toxic work environment. You've got 3 or 4 kids, you got to pay the mortgage, you got a kid in college, you got to pay that card out, you got to pay, college fees and all that. It can get very stressful where you feel you're stuck where you are. So Tonette says, so Tony says, amen, mentors are always great. Yes. And if you don't get a good one, fire their behind and move to the next one. I just tell, no, just that's just the way it goes. If your mentor can barely meet with you, cancels appointments with you, you tell them what you need, you walk in and say, here's what I'm looking for, and they can never address it. Just, yeah, say thank you very much and then find somebody else. Really, why? Why bother if they're not going to help you? Tonette says, my problem is I want to talk to anyone because I just want to do my work and they still bother you. I'm raising my hand on that one, Tonette. Introvert, social anxiety. I don't want to talk to you. Just let me do my work. If you need something, ask me. I get it to you, but leave me alone. All right. And so you do have to learn to network within your abilities, because you will not get the help you need and you can't stay stuck. I will say that. All right. I'm here with you, but I had to learn how to network as to what felt comfortable for me. All right. So Ricardo says, I've never had an official mentor. I feel bad taking up time for people. What does that look like? So Ricardo, I'll be honest with you. I did not get a mentor until, okay, I'll say it. I'm like 7 years old. Okay. At least in a few days, I'll be 57 years old. I didn't get a mentor until my 50s. I didn't understand the importance until late. And so now, I'm up on the rooftop, get a mentor, get a mentor. It is never too late. You're never too late in your career. Like I said, I got one in 2017 and he's been fantastic. He's still with me. I'm still with him. And I'm telling you, he's a reason why I left federal government and started, practicing both my businesses. It's because I have a mentor. So Tony says, okay, I understand. And Tonette, if you need to figure out a way how to do that for what feels for you, that talking and the communicating, you know, I have plenty of links out there. Let's set up a little chit chat and talk about that. That's so important because people don't know what you're thinking. And if you're a very intelligent introvert, people can think that you're being arrogant and condescending, and they're like standoffish from you. You're not, but that's just what they think because you don't talk to let them know what you're feeling and what you're thinking, right? So we can go a little bit in depth in that. So, but yeah, that's part. So let me move on. All right. So important while you're working, whether you get a new job or you get new job duties, update your resume. Always keep your resume updated so it doesn't feel like there's a long climb, like I need to go, but I don't want to do my resume. I haven't looked at that thing in 3 years. I don't know what's on it. No, anytime you get a new job duty, anytime you get a promotion, anytime you get a new project, just update your resume within the next couple of weeks. Resume is always updated, so it's never impediment to you just leaving. Okay. Tone says my mentor got mad. Whoops. When he made a pass at me and it ended the whole mentorship. He needed to go. You didn't lose anything, right? You really didn't. If that was it, that kind of level, that kind of maturity. So Tony said toxic can be internal and how you bring your A game. Yes. Positive motivation with the healthy caring of sharing brings so much to the table, and inviting healthy exchange you can bring to the table of any environment. I am so agreeing with you. Oh, Tony, I'm going to show that one so people can see that. I'm so agreeing with you there. Amen. Amen. Absolutely. Okay. So we're on number 7. Always be looking for a job. Even when you're happily employed, always be looking for a job. That is one of the transition tips I took with me when I left the military. What they said was when you get your job, that first job, you're all excited, update your resume and start looking for the next. The next may be 5 years down the road or maybe 2 months down the road. I've actually left the job at 2 months. I've done that. I've just transitioned. Like, this is not going to work for me. I don't do abusiveness in the workplace, right? So Tony says sometimes you have to reset yourself and be above that. Yes, absolutely. Unless it's detrimental to your well-being, your mental health, no reset, leave. Your health and your mental health and physical health is way important than trying to make someone else reset. It's about you can decide that. Air Force, baby. Army, baby. Army, Army, Army. Yeah, Tony and I have some disagreements here. Ricardo says, I always say this, always be looking. Yes, always be looking for a job. I have gotten jobs. I had no intention of leaving the current job. I was happy, but I've gotten a job because I was just out looking. Always have job alerts. They just send me jobs. So I'm always looking to see what the environment is. So Tony says, agreed. Amen. Number 8, avoid. Okay. Ricardo says Army. Yes, yes, yes. But thank you for all of your service, even the Air Force, in the Navy, in the Marines, in the Coast Guard. Thank you, everybody. Everybody, right? But yes, so number 8, avoid when you do get another job, avoid the social media quitting that's just like everybody's like blowing up the internet with, right? Avoid it. With all the bells and whistles, avoid it because some folks are vindictive, and we'll talk about that. Do avoid it. You don't want your calling card to your next job being, you jumping up on the table and shaking and saying, I'm throwing up the deuces, I'm out. It feels really good in the moment. I'm not going to lie to you, but you probably want to avoid that because what's on social media tends to stay on social media. Okay. Number 9, when feasible, get another job before quitting. Your capital and it's just much higher when you already have a job. People they just like that, right? They don't like, oh, there must be something wrong with you, right? Not saying that you can't quit, and we'll talk about why they may, be happy, why they may be, but yeah, try to get another job before quitting. Okay. Now, I like this one. Number 10, which I mentioned health a few minutes ago. When your health is at stake or you've just had enough, consider taking a bridge job. It's not the job you want. It's not your forever job, or what, forever maybe in the next 2 3 5 years. But get a bridge job that's somewhere in between, that's going to bring in some money. Keep that resume updated that you're working somewhere. Sometimes your health is worth it to take a bridge job and have some money's coming in, rather than have a stroke or a heart attack. And I see people that do that on the job because they do not leave when they need to leave. Okay. Number 11 is a no brainer. Always keep your reference list updated. And that new job, take your time, be kind of chill about it. Collect those references while you're there. Collect the email. Don't be a me. I don't do names unless I learn you. And I've left the job so swiftly. I was like, who worked there that I remember? I don't know. So when you get there, you're meeting people, get their email address, get their phone number, and get their name. And spell their name correctly. There's nothing worse than someone putting you down as a reference and then they spell your name wrong, because now they email you, hey, this person uses a reference. So get this correct spelling of the name. Keep it up to date. As you fall out with people, X them off your reference list. You do not want an employer calling somebody that you've fallen out with. You really don't want that. Not a good thing, right? So number 12, when interviewing, go high. Resist the urge to talk about what an idiot your boss is, or how horrible the workplace is, or how stupid everybody is, right? Your potential boss doesn't want to hear that, because the thing is, if you talked about that workplace like that, then you probably will say the same thing about mine. So I'm not really sure I'm interested in you. So do go high. All right. Do definitely go high. So I have a Facebook user. Let's see. Let me pop over to Facebook real quick and see who that is. It just tells me Facebook user. And she says, Happy New Year. So I'm going to go to the next one while my page updates. Number 13, do not announce your resignation until you have the final job offer in your hand. You had it on the computer, you printed it out, and you can hold it in your hand, because then it's official. Because people will rescind jobs. Sometimes you can get the final job offer and they still rescind it. So you don't want to announce anything. Just gleefully gloat to yourself while you're sitting at work. Give yourself a high five, like, woo, but out of here. But take your time until you get that final job offer. And sometimes they take a long time. I got a temp file job in like August of 2018. I did not get a final letter until like July, August of 2019. So had I announced, like, oh, guess what? I would have looked really stupid, right? Hey, Tanika, how are you doing? Thanks for hopping on, lady. So, and also the reason why you don't want to announce until you have a final job office, because vindictive bosses will call the new place and say, you don't want to hire her. You do not want to hire him. Oh, let me tell you the real scoop, right? They will. Yes. And so Tonette says, can I repeat number 12? Absolutely. When interviewing, go high. Do not insult, badmouth your boss or your company. There's a way you can answer those questions, but you don't badmouth, right? So why are you leaving? I'm looking for a place that I can use all of my talents and my unique skills, and offers more opportunity. You don't have to say they're jerks. I couldn't get hired. They're idiots. You don't have to say all of that, but you just repeat. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm repeating number 12. Yes. Go high. Go high. Don't insult. And I used to work with veterans, and I would do the job searches and all that kind of stuff, job development. And I had sent a veteran, told her what to do and all that kind of stuff. And she got there and she ran down every employee that she had. And how do I know? Because the manager called me back up and said, no, I can't hire her. She just said in the whole interview and dogged every employee she had. And if she'll do that to them, she'll do it to me too. Next, bring me somebody else. They don't hire you. So resist the temptation. Okay. Resist that temptation. And so 13 was like, do not announce that resignation till you have the final job offer in hand. And number 14, do arrive to the interview with a list of questions so you can thoroughly interview your potential employer, because you don't want to end up in the same situation again. I get clients that say, they come to me because they said, look, the last 2 or 3 jobs have all been the same. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm tired of even looking. That's why some people will just stay in a toxic job. I'm tired of looking. So interview them, Ask them questions. What's your leadership style? You can tell a micromanager 1,000 miles away. Now, I personally don't do well with micromanagers, and that's why I've left some jobs. I don't do micromanagement. I just don't. You know, if diversity is a big thing to you, and they're looking at you and scratching heads, D&I and diversity, what's that? We ain't got no plan for that. We don't believe in I mean, it's not that we don't, and it's very important. We just don't. Those are red flags. No, may not. If diversity is that important to you, if it's important, then no, that's there. Employers give red flags, so you can avoid them, but interview them. They typically open up a space when they're done asking their questions, and they say, hey, do you have any questions for us? You need to be grilling them, because you've already sold them on your value. This is how valuable I am to you. Here's how I can help you. Turn around and interview them so you can spot out those places. Now, uh, number 14 goes hand in hand with number 15. Do your homework and research the employer. You can go like Glassdoor and research people. I also coach my ladies that I work with. I coach them to Google EOC complaints against X company. You'll be surprised what comes up. Now, if you find out that someone had an EOC complaint against them 10 years ago and they haven't had anything in 10 years, chances are they right at that. But if they had like an EOC complaint against them like 5 months ago, and then like 7 months ago, they had another one that dropped, and then 18 months ago, they had another one, and then like 3 years before that, they had another EOC complaint. Those are red flags all over the place. When it rises to the point that the EEOC, the Equal Opportunity Commission, can come in and investigate because it's a justified complaint, that's a red flag about that place of employment. Don't even waste your time, right? You can just, with the simple few clicks, and I coach ladies to do this, and it has been eye-opening. They have been shocked at what they find out about people they thought they were going to work for. And then you don't have to like read the whole case notes unless it's just interesting, because some of it is interesting, but at least read out and see what it is, right? If it's, pay and equity, and they have got that right in 5 years, they keep pinging their, cases that keep pinging against it, they have a problem. It takes about 5 years to change the culture of an organization. And if they're got like 5, 4, 3, 5, 6 EOC complaints in the last 5 years, they hadn't changed yet. They may be a work in progress, but I would say it's not someone you should risk your happiness on working for, right? Anybody else out there actually Google EOC complaints? Have you heard of doing that before, or something you've done? I find it to be very helpful when you're iffy, especially for people that are coming out of a toxic work environment and they're scared to death of going into another one. They can give you a lot of information. Okay. Number 16 says, be prepared for the interview with your boss after you announce, hey, I'm leaving, right? And be prepared to say no if he or she asks you to stay. No is a whole complete sentence unto itself. No explanations needed. Now, if you think some things are going to come, prepare remarks so that when you get hit with that question, you don't freak out and just get diarrhea at the mouth and just everything that ever happened at that place comes out. Because again, you don't know whether or not that boss is going to be vindictive enough to call your new place of employment, right? So Tamika says, she hasn't Googled for EOC complaints against the new potential employer. Ooh, tons of stuff there. I have actually dropped down to read. I read. It's amazing. So I told you I would tie these two things together. When I say document, when you document, you don't know how many other people in your workplace are documenting as well. And so when it rises to the point you do an EOC complaint and they come around and start talking to people, you can just pull out all your documentation, say, I have this, and that's how people get hit, because there's a pattern. So Tony says, hair flip and I'm bald. I like you. I will honestly share something I found truly helpful, and that was taking a sociology course while I was in the military. And honestly, being a Florida boy, okay, I used to live in Florida, and playing football opened my eyes even more to how people are raised. Yes. And how to see or understand those norms of those social, That's a whole word right there. Socially, insists really helped me find a true way to listen and be more compassionate about what others have been through. Yes, even though I traveled the world in the Air Force, it was a mission. Yes. And that's the thing with veterans when we get out, we're still mission focused. So when we jump into a workplace, we're all about the mission. We don't want to hear all of that because we may not like our buddy next door, but when it comes to doing the mission, all of that goes out the door and we do the mission. But that doesn't always happen in corporate, in even in federal government, in local governments, in nonprofits. Not everybody has that sense of do the mission like we do, and it can get difficult. And so you have to learn when to stay and fight and when to cut your losses and find something that's more conducive to you. Right? Thanks for that, Tony. I appreciate that. Absolutely. Okay. So do remember to clear your personal files off the computer if you're getting ready to leave. Just, I'm sure you got some pictures of your babies, maybe some things you may not have wanted to have said on work computer, although there should be nothing on your work computer that you don't want live action in front of anybody else because they're going to keep that stuff. They have a tape up and they can always reach back and get it. I'm just saying. But the personal stuff, clear that stuff off. Like I told you, I have stuff on my computer, all my documentation, password protected. I go in, X everything out, save it, whatever. Make sure you do that. Okay, that's number 17. Number 18, if you have the chance to do so, say goodbye to coworkers, right? At least the ones you like, and if you just don't like somebody, don't want to talk to them, then just, professionally greet the ones and say bye to the ones you actually like, right? Um, so that is a good, and the things are chances are really, really high that you're going to see someone from this company again. That's why it feels good in the moment to do the social media. I quit, jump on the tables, dance, and do the balloons and all that stuff. But you're going to work 9 times out of 10 with someone else. I mean, I've had people we leapfrog through the military to civilian life, and those of us in the military, we know you run into people again. So Tonette says, is there a way you can clean your computer before you exit? So you don't actually own the computer, so you really shouldn't be cleaning the computer, but certainly your files, like you can go in if you have stuff saved on there. You can exit out, like because you've sent everything to yourself. Copy, put an X there, save, and then the last thing should be the last thing you save. That's all you're going to get. Now, then I say that. Ricardo says, I love those dramatic exits. They're funny, Ricardo, but in the long run, I wouldn't want to lose a job 3 years down the road because I showed my behind on this one. It felt good, but I wouldn't want that to affect, a job in the future. So, but yes, Tonette. So you really have to. It's going to depend on your IT. But I know none of the jobs I worked for, most of the jobs were federal government. Although I did work some corporate, I didn't own anything, so I could not wipe or clean the computer when I left. But you can certainly go through and delete some things. Okay. So Tonette says okay. So number 19, be professional and work until the end. Because again, some bosses are vindictive, right? They're just vindictive. Hey, Sonia, I see you on Instagram. Thanks for hopping on. Here's at the end of the day, you want to work to the end. You're protecting your personal brand. You are a brand. That is what you sell to companies when you interview to work there. Protect your brand at all costs. A tarnished brand is difficult to repair, right? There's Facebook is doing some things, it's done a whole name change to Meta to repair some things, Walmart, Amazon. It takes time and money to repair. Unless you got all that money to repair, protect your brand at all costs. So work to the end, right? And sometimes you can't because some bosses are vindictive. They just fire you like, oh, you're going to quit on me? You got another job, you're fired. So there's nothing you can do. Just leave, right? 20, if you have a chance, do leave instructions for the next person who has your job. Do a desk, SOP, standard operating procedures. Do that, leave it for the next, person who you have, even if whether or not you know who that person is, if you can, go ahead and leave that, right? It's just a sign of goodwill. And the person coming on may or may not support that, but if you meet them again, they will remember that. And then number 21, list all of your wins from this job, even though it was toxic, or list everything that you learned. It's a win or learn. If you look at everything as a win or learn instead of win or lose, you're always winning or you're always learning. List your wins and learns and move on. No matter how toxic it was, how bad it was, how much it ran your blood pressure up. Some of us have that. We have hypertension. We have all the stuff. List your wins and your learns. If nothing else, I learned not to do this, or next time I should do this. List it and then just move on. Okay. So that was number 21. And I promise you that you did not have to take notes on this because I am giving you the link to the free PDF. So you have the checklist and you just go out there, pop in your information and download it. As soon as you hit thank you, you'll have access to it and you go from there. All right. So, any questions out there? How many of you have heard of some of these things before? You actually practice those, right? It's important. So, the whole point of this is again to pull you out of the hopeless, helpless zone like it will never change. These are things, some of these things you can do like right now. You can start updating your resume right now. It's not that you're getting a job tomorrow, but you can actually update your resume right now. Look around for the people you trust in that job that you can use as references. You can start working on that right now. I guess it's a number of things here. Self-compassion, you can do that right now, right? So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Again, if you have questions and comments, do drop them in the comments. I always circle back and ask or answer the questions. Even when you catch this on the replay, you're more than welcome to leave a question or leave a comment because I always circle back to answer. I appreciate you being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those of you who catch the replay, drop hashtag replay in the comments for me, and then let me know where you caught this from, where you hopped them from. Thanks very much. And I will see you guys back here same time next week. As they say, same bat place, same bat time. I will be here again, 8:35 p.m. next Wednesday, Eastern time. Take care. Bye-bye.